They say everything's bigger in Texas, and that's certainly true when it comes to legislative battles. We're in Austin, Texas, for a close-up view of a special session to pass major pro-life legislation. The opponents are out in full force and the sparks are flying. Stay with us as we get a close-up, inside perspective from the warriors in this life and death battle. Donna Campbell is an emergency room physician and a freshman Texas state senator. She's experiencing initiation by fire during her first term as a co-author of a bill that protects Texas unborn babies and their mothers.
The legislation covers 4 points. 1, it brings abortion facilities up to the same standards as ambulatory surgery centers. It asks that the medication that's used in medical abortions, RU 486, to be given in the safest way possible. It asks that a physician doing an abortion have hospital admitting privileges within 30 miles of the facility they did the abortion in. And the last part is described as fetal pain, the fetal pain portion, which says after 20 weeks, you can't have an abortion. There is scientific research that the baby feels pain at 20 weeks. Earlier than 20 weeks. 20 weeks is a cutoff because we know it's fully developed by then. So what is the humane thing to do?
Why are you personally supporting the bill?
On my principles, I am pro-life. I believe life starts at conception and ends in natural death. And it's my duty, just even as an American, as a Texan, to help promote life, protect life. As a physician, that's what I've done for over 23 years.
State Senator Bob Deuel has been serving in the Senate since '03. He co-authored the outpatient surgical facility portion of the bill. As a family medicine physician, he's well aware of the medical standards and practices all surgical centers should be operating under. And he knows a majority of Texans support the bill's requirements.
The bill is actually 4 bills. This is what we call an omnibus bill, and during the regular session, for various reasons, the 4 individual bills didn't get passed. When the governor told us he would call the subject back on the special session, then we decided to combine it into one omnibus bill. We felt it was a good vehicle.
Do you think that a majority of Texans support this legislation?
The polls that I've seen indicate that 62% of the people in Texas agree that we should stop abortions at 20 weeks. A great number of people, I don't think, understand the bill, or they don't want to acknowledge the bill, because a lot of the testimony against the bill was about things the bill doesn't do. They're saying that the requirement to make these clinics be an ambulatory surgical center would cause them to close, and I would submit that it would not. There's already 4 abortion clinics that are ambulatory surgical centers. We have over 400 ambulatory surgical centers in Texas in very small areas, so it's feasible to do so. The need to do this bill is because the people doing abortions are not following the standard of care in many, many regards, and we need to protect these vulnerable women, and they need help, but they need the right information and they need the very best medical care.
Eddie Lucio is a Democrat state senator who's been representing the 27th district for 22 years. He was the only Democrat senator to support the bill.
As I look at what's happened since Roe versus Wade, it saddens me to know that there are close to 3,000 abortions taking place every day in this country. And we have entered into a horrific culture of death that I care not to be part of. I care to be just reflective of the wishes of the people that I represent, and also reflective of my own faith. We need to sustain life. And one of the greatest joys that I have right now at this moment is what I see is young people, this young generation, you know, marching and unconditionally for life. That makes me feel good about their leadership and what they will do in the next there's next generation of leadership. That is the only legacy I want to see us leave as a society, not me individually, but as a society, a legacy of life.
When we return, we'll hear about the pandemonium that broke out on the Senate floor during the first special session. On June 25th, drama unfolded on the Texas Senate floor regarding the pro-life bill. Knowing the Senate needed to pass it before midnight, pro-abortion Senator Wendy Davis staged an 11-hour filibuster. There are tight rules regarding a filibuster in the Texas Capitol, and when she violated them for the third time, the filibuster was ruled over. Pro-abortion activists then engaged a planned-out backup strategy of instigating chaos in the gallery above the Senate floor. Carol Everett, a former abortion mill owner, is now the president of the Heidi Group. It's an organization dedicated to help women with unexpected pregnancies make positive choices for themselves and their babies. Carol was in the Senate gallery during the mayhem and was shocked by the action she witnessed by the pro-abortion advocates.
Pro-choicers came in from other states. 3/4 of them are from out of Texas, and 3/4 are paid. They're paid staff that have been sent here for mob rule. For instance, the first time they showed up in the Senate, they were directed that on the third point of order, they were to stand up and scream. They did that. It had never happened before in the Senate, and they stopped everything. And they were in our Capitol last week yelling, "Hail Satan." I've never seen anything like it. I was watching what happened on the floor because the pro-choice House of Representatives members, many of them were standing in the back of the Senate floor, which is legal, and they were encouraging the mob. And then one senator, Senator West, was encouraging the mob, and as they encouraged them, they got louder and louder, and it was deafening. The sound was deafening. The Senate could not have operated at all.
At one point, I didn't hear anything, and it was so loud. You're in some kind of trance.
Was it impossible to do business?
Yes, you couldn't hear each other. I was disappointed that some of my Democratic senators and Democratic House members were on the floor chanting and encouraging those in the gallery to cheer louder.
The decorum in the Senate had been lost, and we traded the democratic process, democracy if you will, for mobocracy. You can't do state business that way. I caught the third point of order on the filibuster, which stopped the filibuster. And when the lieutenant governor sustained my point of order, the crowd jeered because they felt they had lost the tool to delay the bill.
What do you think it would have been like if it had been reversed and pro-lifers had been behind all that chaos?
Oh, well, there's always that double standard that they hold on us. I told some of my Democratic and Republican colleagues, I said, I could fill your gallery, I could make some calls and I could fill your gallery, and if you were trying to do business over there and I went over and all of a sudden raised my hands and had them scream and yell and kept you from doing your business, you would be outraged. It's actually against the law to disrupt the proceeding, but I don't think anybody's going to get charged.
Emily Horn, a lobbyist for Texas Right to Life, was also present in the gallery. She's responsible for preparing the bill's authors for any argument or amendment that may come their way. As a young female, she offers a personal perspective on how this new legislation is meant to protect unborn babies and women. As a young female, how do you think this bill affects your personal rights?
I think it greatly increases the rights of my future unborn children and any unborn Texans, and I feel that...
How so?
Hopefully increasing their right to be born, hopefully giving them more of a chance to live, and all those young females that are yet to be born and want to have their own rights and want to live and want to do their own thing and make their mark on the world, hopefully might have the chance to be shown to their mother and as something to be valued and have the chance to make their own mark on the world.
Well, what do you say to those who say all these male senators are infringing on the rights of women to choose what to do with their own bodies?
You have female senators championing the right to kill an unborn child at any stage, day before birth. I mean, whatever the mother wants. And I say bravo if the men of Texas are willing to stand for unborn children, and they're willing to stand for the right to life, because they were elected to protect the lives of their constituents, and be it man or woman, I don't think it matters as long as you are doing what you were elected to do and protecting the rights and the lives of Texans.
In a moment, we'll learn how pro-life Texans came out in full force for the second special session. In his first term serving as a Texas senator, Larry Taylor authored the portion of the bill requiring abortionists to have admitting privileges to a hospital within 30 miles. During the second special session, he participated in a hearing on July 8th that lasted until the following morning. He was encouraged by the number of pro-lifers who came to the Capitol to have their voices heard.
Well, they've all been mobilized. I mean, obviously the pro-abortion folks were mobilized first. Since then, you've seen the pro-life movement really get engaged, and they've been out here for a number of days en masse. We just had a hearing last night, went to about 2 o'clock in the morning, but we had a pro-life rally during the middle of that out here on the Capitol steps at a large group.
We had buses. We had 6 buses from East Texas last night, 2 from Houston, San Antonio, Dallas. We're shocked ourselves that they're coming from all over the state. We plan to keep this momentum going. We're not going to let it fail again. And it's our job to keep people informed and engaged, and we intend to do that. We know this law will pass, and when it passes, we know it will be challenged. But you know, when you come to Texas and mess with Texans, you're messing with a bunch of cowboys. And you don't out-cowboy a cowboy. The mob is not going to rule in Texas.
We requested interviews with several senators who opposed the bill, but none would speak with us. The night of the hearings, pro-life supporters held a rally to show their support for the bill. Pro-abortion activists were there, but had orders not to speak to the press. However, pro-lifers like Hannah Bell were more than willing to share their thoughts on the bill and its opposition.
I don't think they're looking at the legitimacy of how it's going to protect them. I mean, if you go into an abortion facility right now, you do not have the same standard of care that you have in the hospital. And you deserve the same standard of care.
Cosmo really showed that, didn't it?
He did. Yeah. I think people's eyes have been open to the gruesomeness of what can take place in these abortion facilities. And I think also what you're seeing is a culture of life. That my generation in particular, the 20-somethings, are saying, you know what, we've seen the sonograms, this is life. And we are tired of the divorce rate, we are tired of abortions, we are tired of just this debt syndrome that has tried to encapsulate our generation. And we're ready to break free, and we're ready to support life.
What do you think it'll do regarding the abortion issue in Texas?
I think it's going to open up the eyes of people to see what Planned Parenthood is really all about. That they're not really about helping Planned Parenthood, they're really about eliminating life. And they're not really about protecting women, they're really about making money. And I think it's going to help people's eyes to see the candidates politically who are supporting women and who are supporting life. I think it's going to help them see Planned Parenthood for what they are, and I think it's going to help them see the organizations and businesses who are going to support life versus not.
The pro-choice movement tells us this will close every abortion clinic in Texas with the exception of 5. But you have to break that down. You have to ask yourself who is willing to protect the health of women. In the original round in the first session, Planned Parenthood did not testify against this bill at all. I believe they want to be the super abortion providers, and there are Planned Parenthood abortion clinics that meet the high standards of ambulatory surgical facilities. Currently, there are 5 in the state of Texas. It may indeed close some abortion clinics, but those are the ones that do not care enough about women to take the highest standard of care. And those are the ones that we want out of business. Those are the ones that we know are doing horrible things to women and babies.
How do you think this bill will affect the work you do in women health centers?
Last session, we completely defunded Planned Parenthood, you know. Planned Parenthood could no longer receive state tax dollars, and that's a law in the state of Texas. So when the Obama administration took those funds away and said, if you don't include abortion providers, we're not going to give you the women's health money, the 1115A Medicaid waiver, our governor, Perry, said, that's all right, we'll take care of our own poor women. And so this year, it was $40 million last year, it's $71 million in the women's health program this year. So, pregnancy resource centers are starting to do well woman care. We can't continue to send them back to Planned Parenthood for anything. We've got to become the center of care for them all over the state, and so that's what we're doing. It's a difficult go, as you know, lots of questions, everybody has to deal with it a different way, but we're excited that we're seeing healthcare facilities for women that don't refer for abortions or perform abortions, and of course that law has that in place.
The atmosphere during the second special session was tense, resulting in much higher security and a larger number of people on both sides of the issue. Reverend Justin Braun brought 300 youth from Tyler, Texas to stand up for life and participate in the spiritual battle going on at the Capitol. Some of the senators we've talked to today alluded to the fact that they witnessed spiritual warfare. Okay? Is that something you saw?
I certainly agree that there has been something very diabolical about the proceedings. We looked to about 2 weeks ago, we saw the commotion that was in the Senate chambers, and it reminded us of Babel. You know, you just hear voices echoing, nothing making any sense to anyone, and really what that voice did was create division, and we know that division is the work of Satan, and that he sends his minions here to destroy us by destroying our unity. And so, from a perspective of a priest looking in, the first thought I had was, man, Satan's really got a grip on that house right now. And so as we've been praying and kind of watching things proceed, it's obvious that the devil has been involved in this. Darkness is present here, certainly, but we also know that the light will overcome the darkness. And I think that's one of the other reasons we're here in our blue and in my black, is to say the light will overcome the darkness no matter what. God is here.
Do you think that all of this bizarre, evil behavior will galvanize Texans to be ever vigilant, to be out there for the babies and their moms?
It's my hope. I think it's an interesting landscape that we have in Texas. I think Texans tend to be very proud as people. We tend to, want to toot our horns. And this is an opportunity for us to say to the rest of the country, listen, we have debated this. We've dialogued about it. We've had it in our Senate, in our House. And we firmly believe that human life should be protected. I mean, we're starting at 20 weeks. We hope this is just one little step in the right direction. But we've got to stop fighting, thinking it's all or nothing. We've got to start to take those baby steps so that we can see a conversion in our culture to life and love instead of hatred and death.
Coming up, we'll hear what the passage of this bill will mean for Texas. After a hard-fought battle, the Texas Senate passed the bill shortly after midnight on July 13th by a vote of 19-11. Now that the bill is passed, state senators and Texas pro-lifers are excited about what this means for the health care of women and their unborn children in the state. What will the passing of this law mean to Texas?
To me, it means that we've put in at least a guardrail for women's safety in abortion facilities. We've added a few measures to help make the abortion process, be it medical or surgical, a little safer for women. It also means that about roughly 400 to 500 babies a year will not be aborted because they won't be able to be aborted after 20 weeks.
What it means is that they do shut down, which is my hope, with all due respect, is that there'll be less abortions. But make no mistake, I will still continue as a member of the Finance Committee in the Senate and as a member of this body to vote for women's rights and women's needs, healthcare needs, everything that I've ever supported. My record is very clear. I am pro-woman. I'm just not pro-choice. The only difference here is on the pro-life stance.
It's our job now to get out there and start trying to find ways to get women off welfare. help them deliver that baby, and then help them find a way to make a living for that baby and their own lives. And so we've got to start some different programs, and those are things we're thinking about.
Texas is a great state, and I am blessed to be one of 31 that represents Texas. Texas has values that are a culture of life. So I'm excited and encouraged to serve.
I feel very blessed to be in the Texas Senate. I've been pro-life my whole life. I went through medical school after Roe v. Wade and was appalled by some of the things that I saw, and never really dreamed that I'd have an opportunity to make law and to do things to protect the health of women and also to protect the unborn.
Behind every legislative victory are dedicated pro-life legislators and staff, as well as a motivated grassroots movement. Thanks to their collective sacrifice and efforts, Texas unborn babies and their mothers are a little safer. That is, until we reach our ultimate goal of protecting all innocent human life from womb to tomb. Thanks for watching. This week we can all be Texans celebrating the Lone Star State Stand for Life. Visit our website at facinglife.tv to have your name randomly selected to receive one of these beautiful Texas-themed gifts. You can show your support for the Texas governor and legislature who stood up to overwhelming opposition to defend their most vulnerable citizens. While at the website, order a copy of today's episode on DVD or Blu-ray to share with others.